How does someone with a degree in English and communications end up leading an AI revolution at a 150-year-old financial giant? Our guest today has built a career blending the art of storytelling with the science of cutting-edge technology. I am beyond thrilled to welcome Ashley Cheretes to the show. Is a passionate performance marketer and the first ever director of generative AI at Prudential, where she is pioneering the strategy and implementation of AI to transform customer experiences and redefine marketing strategies. This isn't her first time building something from the ground up, though. In her impressive 17-year career, she has developed new capabilities for Fortune 500 powerhouses like Cigna, ADP, and Avis Budget Group. What makes her approach so compelling is her guiding philosophy. She's a firm believer that the goal of technology is to eliminate pain, not people. A human-centric view that has helped turn skeptics into ambassadors. This unique approach has made her a highly sought-after voice on the future of AI in the enterprise. She has been sharing her insights everywhere, including Adobe Summit and also the upcoming Generative AI Week. When she's not reimagining the future of marketing, you can find her on the baseball field somewhere in New Jersey, coaching and cheering from the stands for her two sons. Ashley, I'm just so thankful you're here. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on the Bold Moves How Did You Know podcast. And we are lucky to have you here today because we get to learn from all of your AI genius about the hottest topic in business today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, this is like a full circle moment for me because I remember when I was listening in the beginning to this podcast and now I'm
Oh,
actually doing the podcast. I'm like, whoa, this is this is
wow.
crazy. I love this.
That is like my hopes and dreams for everybody listening to this show, right? Is to be able to accelerate your dreams and do the things that make you feel fulfilled and happy. So this
Yeah.
is, this for me is a magical moment as well. And I immediately thought of you when I started thinking and planning about what season 4 would become, which is focused on this question: how do you continue to be bold inside of your bold move? And I think you embody the spirit more than anybody else. So I've been doing some research on your career, which is right
Uh-oh.
within the last year
Yeah.
has been like a skyrocket, a spaceship. And just knowing that you've been on these major stages across the country, sharing your expertise on AI. And now, of course, you're the first director of Gen AI at Prudential. And these roles are coming with, this role in particular, I'm sure comes with a lot of enthusiasm for what it could be, but also with a lot of expectation for success. So I would love
Mhm.
for you to take us inside of your journey. Why were you excited about this new role? And why is this a bold move inside of a bold move?
I love it. My background is in marketing and branding. So I made all the flyers, worked in InDesign,
Yeah.
made all the videos, but also executed go-to-market strategies, breaking into new markets, doing really exciting things, right? If you had told me about 3 years ago that I would actually be into a marketing technology role, I would be like, you're crazy. But the fact of the matter is, I've always wanted to be here. I've always had a knack for
Mhm.
technology. I've done implementations of new tech,
Mhm.
marketing automation systems, CRMs, like a number of things. So it's like I said, and actually, I hit my 1 year anniversary in this role just last week.
Ah,
So
congratulations.
thank you. I know, it's, like, crazy. So, I mean, I still think even in this role, even though it is more technology focused, I still am doing a lot of the work in the marketing
Mhm.
realm because part of it is a lot of change management. How do you get people excited about something that they're kind of uneasy about? Like, that's
Yes.
really what a lot of my role is, in addition to having some technical skills and knowing a few things about Gen AI and just AI in general, like things are moving really fast. I think what people kind of seem to forget, especially in marketing, is that AI is not new and it's something that I talk about a lot. So
Mhm.
The generative part is new, being able to connect systems that where they talk to each other and they can understand it and reason and execute on tasks by putting in a prompt, like that's all new. But AI and machine learning has been used for a while. So I always say that that we used to make the rules and the machines listened. Now we put in a request and the machine decides what they want to say to us. Those types of things.
So
Um,
crazy.
yeah. So, and my role currently, I'll just say that it was really focused more on evangelism, education, certainly, strategy, because I'm also building the next products to help about 400 or so marketers thrive within Prudential, also have connections throughout the organization to really stay focused on also how do we ethically apply this? How do we, in a very secure environment, apply this? All this is really important. So when I interviewed for this role about a year or so ago now, there were no roles posted like this. And I
I
had no
know. I
idea what
remember.
it was going to be like. Yes, I think I even told you about it. I was like, "What's happening?" Because I was at one of your dinners, right?
Yes.
So, but like now, it's very commonplace. There are a lot of roles that are posted for director types of things. So it's really been a blue sky, exciting thing that I get to build with a great team behind me too.
It's an interesting role to consider because it's never been done before. And that's why I
Yeah.
think it makes it this big, bold move inside of a bold move, because how do you learn from other people when there's really nobody else doing it? So when you were like considering it, what was going through your mind about like, how do I take on this role when nobody has gone before me? Did you view it as an opportunity, a challenge, or maybe both? What was exciting about it?
Mm. I'm pondering this as I take a sip of coffee. I live on coffee and dreams.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cheers.
Cheers, girl. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, this is the question, because I was in a very critical part in my career where I was like, do I even want to do this? Right. And I had a little bit of imposter syndrome. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to do it. But then I reminded myself, this is not the first time that I've done something new
Right.
in a large, highly matrixed global organization. I've done very similar things for Cigna. Like, I was the first employer
Mm-hmm.
brand person to work there. I had to be the liaison between marketing and employer brand. And I built that team from scratch. I just, you go through these experiences and that helps build confidence. But second to that, it was like, okay, like this is new and exciting. How can I learn as much as possible? Thank goodness for the internet. I mean, and truthfully, I was using AI off the side of my desk. And by being an actual user, I was able to add more value to the meetings that I was having. That's how I kind of, I'll joke and say, like, I got discovered because I was invited to a meeting, and I always say that meeting changed my life. One of his colleagues who I'd worked with a lot, he said to me, "Ashley, I think you could provide some value in this meeting." And little did I know it was about Gen AI. It was an Adobe product that we were testing. They were having some challenges with the prompt, and they kind of used like a traditional creative brief, which was good in essence. But the creative brief, there was some information missing, and that was the pain points in terms of how we were going to inform our audience what we could do for them. So, like, really just kind of the that first output was a little vanilla. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, oh, well, why don't you add in the pain points? Like, what are we trying to solve for this user? And we put it in and fixed it within 5 minutes. So literally, that is the meeting that changed my life, and ultimately gave me the confidence to say, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go for it.
What you said about remembering that you were the first before to do something and that helped you get over that initial imposter syndrome is such an important takeaway. I was just hosting the Bold Moves dinner in Seattle not long ago, and this
Awesome.
theme came up as well, where we were having a discussion about, some of the fears about continuing to be bold inside of your bold move and what it looks like to, there's going to be new fears that come up all the time because in your mind, you've never tackled that particular challenge before. But then, I think I asked the question, we've all done hard things before, they may not have looked the same. So why can't we do it again? And there was some really interesting discussion in there around, yeah, let me just remember that this is not my first time taking on a new challenge. That seems to be a really helpful way to overcome some imposter syndrome that you're feeling, is just to really dig into those prior experiences you've had doing similar type things. So
Yeah.
it's validating that you said that. And then, as you kind of mentioned too, Prudential, this was their first time tackling AI as well. I mean, right? Like in this way, in the world today. So I'm curious about their vision for this position. Was there anything around their vision for this position that convinced you that this would be a great challenge for you as well?
Yes. Well, it was so new that I knew I had a lot to learn anyway. So that was the first challenge, right? But they I think that they were interested in me for more of my softer skills too.
Mm, mm.
And from a confidence perspective, like, I think you can tell I'm pretty outgoing. You and I have
Yeah.
spoken, we've had dinner together, like all those things. I think they were also looking for someone who could break glass.
Hmm.
And in my mind, that made me more comfortable. It made me excited because I knew that I had those skills. I've presented in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. Like, that does
Hmm.
not scare me,
Hmm.
luckily.
Yeah.
It used to a lot. That's probably another topic we can talk about. But I at least knew that going into it, I could there were skills that I needed to learn, the
Hmm.
technology, the vernacular that people were using. And luckily you can build a network of people that help you with that. I also
Hmm.
think my boss is a big mentor in that
Hmm.
aspect, and as well as others on the team. Like, the other thing too is that sold me is my teammates are amazing. They're so talented in everything that they do, and I'm not alone. So that
Hmm.
really excited me. But the softer skills, like, I felt like I had that because I have the marketing background. There's still marketing aspects to my role. I'm marketing the capabilities and getting people
Hmm.
excited about them.
Yeah. Yeah, that is exciting. And going back to what you said about change management, I'm sure there's a lot piled in there. What unexpected opportunities and challenges have you experienced from being out there? You are out front. You are sort of the face of AI for the industry at large, right?
Yeah.
So, what are some of those opportunities and challenges that you've experienced from being out front and leading such massive change?
The first challenge, and this is something that I will freely admit, I don't have all the answers.
Hmm.
So I was totally scoping out the questions in the chat, and I was like, maybe I should prepare for it. And I was like, meh, maybe not. Like, we'll
Uh-huh.
we'll figure it out. We'll wing it,
Uh-huh.
right? I don't have
Uh-huh.
all the answers, right? There's a lot to learn. It's ever changing. The opportunities, though, have been so exciting. I mean, in the last year, in addition to presenting at Adobe Summit,
Hmm.
I also presented at the AI Leaders Forum with
Hmm.
Writer. I even present a lot internally. So
Hmm.
I've had our compliance head reach out to me personally to present. And if you told me that I would help make compliance people more comfortable, I would be like, no way, like, that's not happening. But I was very intentional delivering that conversation because, quite frankly, like, AI makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And then when you're in a compliance role, it can really scare you, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
that's something that was very unexpected. So I think people are just looking for knowledge and they're looking
Hmm.
for perspective.
Hmm.
But I think my personal secret sauce is how you deliver it. How do you put their minds at ease? How do you get them excited about the future? How do you show them that this is actually a really good thing with the right parameters and checkpoints in place?
Have you figured out any tips that makes it easier to get people over humps? Because I assume,
Mm,
many listeners listening as well, they're facing obstacles in their roles and trying to get stakeholders aligned and on board and buy in for their ideas when, and there could be, big things at stake, and they really need some extra tips to help them navigate change management and stakeholder alignment. So, what have you
yeah.
learned maybe about this as this has kind of been part of your job over the last year?
Yeah, I've learned a lot. I think first and foremost, You have to bring people along with you. You can't do this in a silo.
Mhm.
I joke, and I still joke and say part of my job is shaking the hands and kissing the babies,
Right.
because people need to know you, right? And I think I've successfully done that.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that's been great. Again, case in point, being asked to present at all these things internally and externally, right?
Mhm.
I think the other thing is, when you're in a new role like this, you need to know who your clients are. So like in my
Mhm.
case, right, my clients are the marketers, the marketing strategists, the copywriters, the creatives that are doing amazing work.
Mhm.
And my personal value is attached to that. And for this role in particular, my personal value is, how do I help marketers, designers, copywriters everywhere thrive within
Mhm.
Prudential? That's really the goal for me, and it's like my
Mhm.
personal mission. I say that all the time. And then
Mhm.
the third thing is, being humble is
Mhm.
important too. Like
Mhm.
I'm here to help
Mhm.
people. I'm here to be a partner. And because I don't know all the answers, I also have to be open about, like, oh, I'll get back to you, because you still build credibility. People
Yeah.
are looking for me to answer their questions, but
Mhm.
sometimes you just need to do some research, right? So being humble in that sense,
Mhm.
and saying like, this is more of a partnership than
Mhm.
like me telling you what to do. That's
Mhm.
been a big secret of my success. Oh, one last thing,
Mhm.
actually.
Mhm.
Being different is actually kind of cool. Okay. And putting yourself out there in a new way is also something that's really benefited me. So, you talk about like best tips, right? So internally, email is just kind of like boring. It's blah, whatever. Like you have so much email, like it's so hard to go through. Even myself, I think I have like 40 unread emails just from last night, right? So,
Right.
but how you deliver your message is really important. So I actually started creating what I call micro trainings, where I'm literally like doing kind of like a Loom, but it's actually a Microsoft Stream video. It's include Microsoft 365. I'm doing these videos to share the news and the functionality about what some of our tools can do.
Mm.
I did not know they were going to be such a hit. I was also nervous to put myself out there, because they're like, what is this chick saying? Like, I don't understand. But I got more comments, more, oh my gosh, I love your video. Like people stopping me in the hallways, because I was like, I'm going to try this and I'm going to see how it works. It's funny. Now more people are like, oh, Ashley, I want to make videos like you. How can I do that? So I've like been running training as well. So being different and
Mm.
really like meeting people where they are, that is my true secret.
I love that last one, be different. I love all of them, but yes, they're also helpful, right? But the be different is, it gets you out of that status quo mindset of, just doing things the way they've always been done and looking for opportunities to innovate on whatever that
Yeah.
it is, the process or the engagement, and that in itself helps you stand out. And what are we all about here? We are about being bold. So I love that you said that.
So bold. I've done so much bold stuff. It's
Yeah,
like
right.
it's a bit crazy.
Well, that's a great segue to the next question I want to ask you. What mental shifts have you had to make to rise to this occasion?
I'm gonna take a sip of my
Yes,
coffee again
take a
because I need
sip.
to think
Me
about this.
too. I'll take a sip
Cheers.
as well, and then cheers. And then yeah, let's
Mm,
unpack that a little bit, because every new bold move, it feels like you have to up level again. And it's
yeah.
like, man, I just got to rise to this occasion, because if I go back and play small, I'm just going to stay still.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, interestingly enough, I mean, it's top of mind because I'm reading it, but I'm sure we have some Mel Robbins
Yeah.
fans that
Yes.
are listening. And I just so interestingly enough, we have a business resource group that is for women empowered, we call it. So
Okay.
I am actually doing a book club meeting talking about the let them theory.
Okay.
It has unlocked validation for myself, because there are things that I do that I
Mhm.
don't even realize that I'm doing them anymore. So first things first, y- you're when you're new, right? You have to be the go-getter. You have to be the self-starter. You're the one again that has to go shake the hands, kiss the babies. But in a real life situation, that can mean saying hello to someone new and introducing yourself to someone in the elevator. That could be, when you hear a new name in a meeting, you could say, "Hey, like I just heard your name, would love to get virtual coffee or get in-person coffee," and like scheduling that conversation. I used to play small and be scared to do those things because they're gonna be like, "Who's this weird person?" But like people actually like it because
Mm-hmm.
it takes the pressure off them. That's the first thing. So kind of being that go-getter, and I knew that I had to do that, especially in a new role because no one knew me. Um, the other mindset shift, I mean, I always have a growth mindset in every role that I'm
Mm-hmm.
in, but I make it a point to every day try to learn something new, whatever it is, right? And be open to that and try to understand it as much as possible. Because again, I'm not a technologist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm close to, I think, being one, I guess.
I
I don't
know. I
know.
was gonna say you're putting in your 10,000 hours. That's for
That's
sure.
right. Yeah, I'm getting my pilot's license in AI.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so being that learner, but also being very intentional about it. I mean, right? Like, also, I'm a mom, as people heard. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to find the time to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm working to be better at, because I'm not great at it, but I'm working to be better at putting myself first too, and providing value everywhere I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rarely
Mm-hmm.
one of those people that, because I guess the other thing too is, right, in my sort of role, it's new. Everyone, there are people who really want to get to know you and really want to get to know what you can do for them. So and this is probably a good thing and a bad thing, but at least initially, like I didn't say no to people. I didn't say no that I couldn't help them with their problem. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
say no that I didn't spend, 30 minutes with this person to help them figure out how to go about their prompt, right? Because that ultimately builds your personal
Yeah.
brand inside an organization.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kind of things. I mean, it can't be to my detriment. Like obviously now I need to be a little bit more selective in terms of how
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
build my time. So the one thing I am also working on is how do I empower people when I'm not there? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like those videos are a good example. I'm building like SharePoint sites and information, like those sorts of things are
Mm-hmm.
really helpful. I have an email that welcomes people to our new products when they're a new hire, like those types of things. And those
Mm-hmm.
systems have also
Mm-hmm.
been a big focus. And quite frankly, I never focused on those things before because it was like, oh, like I'm too busy for that. But now I know that I need to.
Yeah, it sounds like your personal mission, and then that you have that personal mission statement, and then you have all of these things that kind of tactics that fall under that are all really related to how do I empower you to be successful? You being the stakeholder you're speaking with today or that
Yeah.
day or helping that day. And you're doing a lot of things to empower them with, building out the SharePoint sites, doing the Loom videos inside emails that are really focused on that. So I think maybe a good takeaway for the listener here around being bold inside of their bold move is establishing what is your personal mission statement and then listing out some tactics that will help you achieve that personal mission statement and be really intent also around what what you want your personal brand to be. Because I think when there's clarity there, right, Ashley, you do have that clarity, then you can make that actionable. But if you don't have clarity around what you want your personal mission to be or your personal brand to be, you can't obviously fulfill it because you don't know it.
Right. And you can't speak up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talked about earlier about something that was surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this may sound good or bad depending, but I'm actually surprised that people care what I have to say. And I know that that's weird, but like I'm being asked by partners that we're testing and doing POCs with. Like I presented to Vanguard not too long ago,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like a top investment firm, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and their chief communications and marketing officer, like globally, tagged me
Mm-hmm.
on a LinkedIn post this week, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so honored that my words meant something to
Mm-hmm.
him and his leadership team, that he actually called me out. This truthfully was something that I've always dreamed of. Like I always dreamed to say
Mm-hmm.
something different, to really kind of break through people's ideals and
Yeah.
thoughts, and it makes me just feel
Yeah.
really good that, like I'm where I am supposed to be.
Yeah. It feels so flow. The value
Yeah.
that you're
Vibe.
providing, what you're doing, you get, yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure you're always feeling a little somewhat nervous and anxious and, with every new thing, because,
I
there's a lot of
do.
things you're taking on for the first time.
I do. I get so anxious. by the way.
Yeah,
Every time I go on stage, I get nervous,
right.
but I
How
prepare like crazy.
I'm so yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask you that follow on question because I'm so glad you mentioned that. I think any bold move brings up anxiety or that nervousness energy inside of us. I get it. Everybody gets it. I don't know that Oprah gets it anymore, but right,
Yeah.
like many people feel that. So. And I think that's another reason why people end up backing away because they're too scared and they're like, well, if I feel scared, then it must not be for me. But the reality
Mm.
is, it probably is for you. It's a growth opportunity for you, which is why you're feeling uncomfortable. And so, how do you just push through it and do it anyway?
You literally just do it anyway. I mean, you show no fear. One other thing, I mean, so I have a it's funny, people ask me this all the time. How do you prepare for presentations? I do literally what I do is I write out pretty much 95% of what I'm going to say and then I read it a couple times
Mm-hmm.
and then I just go. Like that's just what I do. Also, repetition just helps me in general,
Mm-hmm.
but also before I go on stage, I say a prayer because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a God girl at heart.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I just say, you know what, you were made for this. Like
Mm-hmm.
no one better than you, Ash. Like that's what I tell my
Mm-hmm.
son
Mm-hmm.
before he goes on the baseball
Mm-hmm.
field. No one better than you, Mike. Like,
Yeah, right,
so let's
right.
go 15. So yeah, and that seems to help me.
It's great. And I would ask everybody listening to write down and really think through when you feel nervous about, taking on a new responsibility or doing something that gives you those inside butterfly feelings, how are you going to navigate that? Because I think this intentionality is just really key to unblocking and getting you to that next step. So if you write down, okay, like if I feel that nervousness, I'm going to step away and journal a little bit about why am I feeling that way? And is it because I really this doesn't feel good inside my body to do, or is it just because I'm scared of the uncomfortability of it all? Or if you're getting on stage like Ashley does all the time, it's like, how can you prepare? How can you be your most prepared for that particular keynote? And
Yep.
so you might be nervous because there's a whole 5,000 people sitting in front of you, but at least you know the material. You know what you're going to be speaking to. All right.
Yes.
I want
Exactly.
to ask you one more question before we move into these listener questions about AI. What did you learn from your experience of evolving into this role about being bold inside of a bold move?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. My mom actually gave me this advice, and
Mm-hmm.
she told me not too long ago that you have to find joy in the journey,
Mm,
right?
that's a good one.
So going through it and I guess the other thing too is, right, I always say, I have said this too. Um if you fail, you learn. If you
Mm-hmm.
succeed, you learn. But if you fail, you actually learn more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I'm not failing. But but there have been times where I'm like, "Oh, this meeting didn't go well." So you just have to learn to turn that voice down and just keep pushing forward. Keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And just do your best the next time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that are really important. The other thing that is very important to me, and it is a personal value of mine, is how do we give back? How do I help others
Mm-hmm.
who have questions about anything? It could be AI, it could be my career. I've had more people reach out to me about my career than I can count because they're
Yeah.
just so interested in
So
like, okay,
fascinating.
marketer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tell people the story, I give them feedback, and I've even done presentations on that too. And
Mm-hmm.
I even talked about, like Kristen, you told me about the mindset shift, like catabolic energy and anabolic
Mm-hmm.
energy, and like how that can help you moving forward, right? I use that in a presentation, even
Mm-hmm.
before, because I was talking about interview tips.
Yeah.
And it was like
That's a good one.
talking about job change and like if your job's eliminated, those types of things. So it was a really great presentation and people seem to really like it. So like giving back is also a big part. Like now that I'm
Mm.
here, I want to do something for others in addition to my day job.
That's why I just love you so much, Ashley. You're such an inspiration. All right. Let's move into these interview questions. So, I
Okay, I'm ready.
shared that I would be interviewing you, one of the
Hmm.
foremost AI experts today, and you are. The
Oh,
questions came rolling in, and I'm going to ask them to you, and I want to give you just the lens of who the listeners are so that we can filter the answers maybe down to how to help them the most. The
Okay.
listeners run the gamut from small business owners, so lots of entrepreneurs in the audio sphere, and also,
Hmm.
but there are also senior career professionals in corporate America who are probably trying to use AI to just like help them be more efficient, or help them more in their actual role. So I hope we can give everyone some actionable advice here. And so the first question is, where do you see AI being the most effective? What problem is it solving for businesses?
Great question. Yes. So, first and foremost, the tasks that you're doing every day. I mean, marketing is a big one because
Hmm.
that's near and dear to my heart, obviously.
Sure.
My role is still marketing, right? So, content generation, image generation, thinking differently about the content, but also synthesizing data, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can use an LLM and it can actually pull out key themes. It could also help you make some predictions and things in business. There are tools out there that can
Mm-hmm.
definitely help. Also, on the automation side, there's a big opportunity with personalization and how businesses can use it, like to actually speak with customers. Like, for instance, there's a podcast that I love. It's called The AI Driven Marketer, and he talks about organizations like High Level, and that helps you customize it basically helps you build automations, and you can also incorporate LLMs, so you can send out personal emails, you can do like a number of different things to
Mm-hmm.
coordinate. So that's definitely there. The other thing is, like, for every business the answer is going to be different. So if you spent time with your team and said, these are the three
Mm-hmm.
challenges that we have as a team, use that as the kind of the north star of what you're trying to fix, but then back out of that and say, well, how could AI help me? That's where that
Mm-hmm.
starts. I don't want people doing AI just to do AI, but really focus on the challenge. I always say AI eliminates pain, so
Right.
focus on your highest pains and then go from there.
You already actually mentioned this AI driven marketing podcast. I just started listening to that podcast.
Yay.
Yeah, yeah. He actually has a course that on AI that I also
He
have
does.
open on my computer to take, because just like everybody else, I am learning about AI and the best uses for my business and my work. I'm hopeful that I'm going to learn a lot more. I just try to I think my personal approach to this is just to keep learning as much as I can day by day and not putting too much pressure on myself that I'm falling behind, because I do think in marketing right now, and I'm also in marketing, it can
Mhm.
feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, there's so much to take in. It feels like
Mm.
everyone is talking about AI, and I just feel like I'm holding on to the roller coaster and on the ride, and I'm not quite sure all the time like where to move next because there's so much information out there. So I love that you talked about what is your pain, and then reverse engineer into how AI can help you solve your pain to put more of that confine around it, because otherwise it can feel a little like a lot. Like, it's hard to know where to start sometimes.
It's hard to know where to start, but if I could just add one other thing, it's also hard to really ensure that, like, you're still staying true to yourself, right? So with AI, like I say, if everyone's using the same tools and they're using the same prompts, all the content's going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
So it's really up to you to feed your AI with information as
Mm-hmm.
well, because you don't want to sound like everyone else, for instance.
That's a great point. Yeah. Authenticity and the human part of where we are today is going to be a really important piece of cutting through the AI
Oh yeah.
noise,
Mhm.
because it is creating a lot of that. And it's, you're already seeing a lot of people talk about how, oh, I can tell that was generated by AI.
Yep.
And it's even like, on social media where my favorite right now is there's the dogs, French bulldog that looks like it's doing gymnastics or diving, and I'm like, wait a minute, okay, the last time I checked, a dog wasn't capable of doing three backflips off of the dive board. And then I'm
Mhm.
realizing, yeah, that's AI created. So I think there is a concern that we aren't able, like, how do we know what's real sometimes? And so that, I believe, is becoming a concern. The other thing I would ask here related to hesitations, and I certainly, this has crossed my brain, is the confidentiality and the proprietary information aspect of it. Can
Mhm.
you give any thoughts around, like, what shouldn't people be feeding into AI for those type of reasons, the security reasons or the intellectual property reasons? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. So, I mean, I'll use my corporate Ashley tone at first.
Yeah.
So, I am also a ChatGPT Plus subscriber, okay? But really, you want a closed model if you want to feed it proprietary information. For instance, I don't,
Hmm.
for me, this is just my personal choice. I don't
Hmm.
want to use my image and likeness in an open LLM.
Hmm.
Like, I don't wanna go into ChatGPT 4 and actually use my image and likeness because
Hmm.
if someone hacks into that and they could
Hmm.
see my photos, what could they do with that? It's
Hmm.
very easy, like with a platform like Runway or Veo, like to do things
Yeah.
that don't look real, right? And
Hmm.
so that's one thing. Also, if you have something that is your IP that you are releasing at a later time, I would not be using an LLM to do that, like an open one. Like I would not go to the public version of ChatGPT and do that, just because they are training on your data. It's important to just know that, right? So, like,
Hmm.
try to think about the implications of that.
Hmm.
It's kind
Hmm.
of like, for instance, I'm sure a lot of people they've gotten emails about being hacked or
Hmm.
and they're like, the company that they were doing business with got hacked. So like now their credit card information or something is exposed on the internet. It's
Hmm.
that kind of a thing. Like
Hmm.
we just need to be careful about
Yeah.
how like the information we're putting in there and what could go wrong.
Great tip. What about, like, there's all of these different Gen AIs, like you mentioned ChatGPT, there's Perplexity, there's Claude, there's Google Gemini, which is
Yeah.
the one I use. And I was
Mhm.
trying to research about confidentiality. Gemini seems to say that they, like, don't train on your information, but is that really true? Like, is there
Yeah.
any public facing Gen AI out there right now that is safer than the others
Mhm.
from your point of view?
I mean, I would say not really.
Okay.
At least from I
Yeah.
mean, unless you have your own like
Yeah.
hosting mechanism and you have your own closed LLM on it. So,
Okay.
like for instance, like we do at Prudential, like we have a version of OpenAI that's available to
Mhm.
all employees, right? Like
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
closed, so they're not retraining with data. All of the
Mhm.
data stays internally. Like
Mhm.
I don't really have a preference, but I do have preference to certain LLMs for like things that I like to do. Like so like for instance, like I really love Claude's writing capabilities. It's really good with nuances. I
Mhm.
still use ChatGPT. I use it for brainstorming. I do use it for
Yeah.
content here and then,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay. Somebody wanted to know, what are the AI courses you recommend?
So there is a lot out there. I think
Mhm.
it really depends on your price point.
Mhm.
If you do have one, like there are so actually another speaking opportunity that I had is I actually had the opportunity to present and speak with a lot of professionals in Boston University, their
Mhm.
business school. They were doing an AI
Okay.
platform.
Mhm.
And so that was a great conversation. But also there's an MIT course, which I highly recommend, and one from Harvard that I highly recommend if that's your higher price
Okay.
point. But Google has a ton of free courses. Also, the so it's put on by Maycon. So Paul Rotzer,
Mhm.
who wrote one of the first books on AI and marketing, actually has a course. I forget the name of it now, but if you look it up,
Yeah.
so if you look for Maycon, there's actually a ton of courses there as well.
Okay.
Those are the free ones, and then of course, the AI driven marketer. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a podcast that's available to listen to for free. So, and he
Yeah.
publishes really consistently.
Sorry, can I add one
Yeah,
more? The
please.
one other
Please,
thing that I
please.
love is the AI daily brief. So the
Mm.
AI daily brief is like it gives like a really good overview of a number of topics,
Okay.
like all the way from traditional Gen AI use all the way through agentic AI. So I would look at that too.
Is that a podcast as well?
It is a podcast.
Okay. Somebody wants to know about AI's limitations. And the funny way they asked this question was, I would love some tips on how to work with AI when it's hallucinating.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. So there's a couple things you could do. Ask it why it's making the recommendation.
Mm.
But the other thing is, if it's and a lot of lawyers have gotten in trouble, right, for using ChatGPT because they don't cite their sources, right? Ask it to cite its sources. Like, where did it
Mm.
come from?
Mm-hmm.
That will help you understand what's exactly happening. Really treat it like a conversation, almost like you're speaking to a regular human.
We know it's good at the like reactively pulling up trends and like analyzing data and reviewing market analysis, things like that, that's available on the internet today, and it can pull those into a summary or an analysis and be pretty good at that. But what's the predictive capability, right? So there's not really, we're looking for like what's going to happen in the future. And she said, AI is clearly good at analysis when it has access to enough data, but can it make accurate predictions on the basis of the data? So what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, it can. One of the ways that we use it inside Prudential is so for instance, we have a
Mm-hmm.
customer experience group focusing on NPS scores. It will actually take the data from surveys and say, okay, how can we fix this? What are the ideas around how to do that? And so then we pressure test those ideas, and we're finding that they're actually working really well. So it will use large amounts of data to
Mm-hmm.
make predictive uh, ideas and thoughts and brainstorming. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
can't be 100% right all the time, but that's
Mm-hmm.
also like we're finding a lot of success, quite frankly, with a lot of that. But even if you just said, "Oh, predictive analytics, I need to have more of that." Yeah, I mean, we are also focusing on like how can we use AI
Mm-hmm.
to be more intentional and say, okay, from a research standpoint, we do have all this data. Well, now
Mm-hmm.
tell me what can we do with it? Like, give me some of your best ideas for these things, right? And it
Yeah.
just really creates a spark. That's how we
Yeah.
typically use it. So it's good at
I
it
was gonna
for sure.
say, yeah. I was gonna say, I think it goes back to okay, get the output of the prediction, but then use and maybe you say this human in the loop and just make sure that
Yep,
you put your eyes on what it is saying and does that make sense and challenge it a little bit to make
that's
sure
the
that
number
it
one
fits
rule.
the criteria of what you're looking for. Don't just take it
Yeah,
at face value, right?
absolutely.
Okay, two more questions, Ashley. What the heck is agenic AI? Tell me about agenic AI. What is it?
Agentic. Okay, I'll keep this one
Agentic.
succinct.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yes.
agentic. So, agentic AI is the next level of AI. So, we have basically think about systems talking to other systems using reasoning to execute tasks. So, ChatGPT just launched an agent that is using obviously agentic
Mm-hmm.
AI where you can put in a prompt and say, "Hey, do this for me." And you could say something like, "Hey, I need to buy myself lunch today. Where should I go?" Or "I'm interested in,
Yeah.
this type of cuisine," right? And it will actually even go as far as like booking a table reservation for you.
Oh my gosh.
So, the more information you give to it, the better in this case because it's taking action off of what you're saying. So, to truly be agentic, think of it as a couple things, right? Like the lunch example is good, but from a
Mm-hmm.
business perspective, think
Mm-hmm.
about how you're connecting workflows together.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, in the former life, APIs were the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm from a marketing standpoint, if I'm like, okay, I need to create a creative brief, let me use insights from research and all of the inputs that I'm putting in here to create the creative brief. Now I need to focus on, getting this creative brief to my professionals. So have it just automatically send the email to them by clicking, go.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically, why don't you also send them a first draft too? Like those types of things, because
Yeah.
LLMs and agentic, like you can do that, but it's really truly agentic if it has reasoning and it
Mm-hmm.
is actioning off of what you're saying. And then you figure out ways, to your point, keep human in the loop as well.
Mm. Okay, mind blown on this. This is again where I was going back to how do I even wrap my brain around all of this and how to use it and just stay on top. Sometimes it's mind spinning. All right, final question. For all of us bold movers inside of our bold move, what is a piece of advice that you have to keep our momentum going and our courage going also when the initial excitement fades and the real work begins?
Oh, Man, this is a great question. Um, Remember who you are. Remember what you've done. Remember all your successes. I personally
Mm,
keep a kudos folder on my email that, like, when I'm
it's
having a
good.
bad day, I always check that out, right? So just always remember the great things that you have accomplished, and one little blip that may be negative does not define who you are.
Ashley, you have given us things to think about in terms of how to navigate our bold moves inside of our career, and so many great mindset shifts and practical advice that we can take and apply today. And also, you have come in hot with the AI tips as well. So, thank you so much for
Trying.
being here. You embody that spirit of being bold inside of your bold move. I really appreciate our time together today, and I'm just grateful to be your friend, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks, Ashley. Okay, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.